Hey, good morning everyone, Vesper here. So a new update just dropped for Street Fighter 6, and it's an interesting one. So two things. First, we got a new fighter pass for August. It's a Street Fighter 36th anniversary fighter pass, and it's themed around Street Fighter 2. So you get some music themes, some Street Fighter 2 stages, Street Fighter 1 game is available for it, and some Street Fighter 2 themed titles, yada yada yada. If you guys don't like the fighter passes before, you won't like this one. It just has avatar costumes. So the meat and potatoes about this video is the update that they changed for rank. It's very interesting. So Capcom has added a Master League system, and this is only going to affect a small amount of players for now, but eventually in the future it will affect a lot of players. And the way this works is they're adding a second leaderboard to Street Fighter 6. So when you go into the rankings here, you're going to see the usual LP that everyone's earned and the rank that you are. But now you're going to see there's a new tab, and that's going to be your master rate tab. So there's a second leaderboard now, and now you'll notice everyone has an MR rating. And this will be the true hardcore leaderboard that they're adding. So let me rewind a second and explain why they added this. So I'm sure you guys have noticed by now, but the Street Fighter 6 ranking system is very forgiving. It tries to push you to master rank, and compared to Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 5 was a lot harsher. You needed about a 70% win rate. It was very difficult, and Capcom noticed that a lot of players were quitting Street Fighter 5 because, you know, they were stuck in the low ranks. They just couldn't climb. It was just too hardcore. So Capcom went in the opposite direction, and now in Street Fighter 6, you notice there's a lot of master rank players in a short amount of time. And when you reach diamond rank, you only need about a 40% win rate at this time to climb to master. And so what happened is the most, dedicated hardcore players, pros, even myself, have multiple master rank characters all up in this game. And Capcom wanted to add more incentive and keep the carrot on the stick and keep people playing. So they added this new Master League. So they're trying to compromise for both sets of players. So if you're not a master rank player, this will not affect you whatsoever. This is only for master players. And you don't have a choice. If you're in master rank, you will automatically be put into this leaderboard when you run into another master rank player. So let me explain how this works. So everyone starts at a 1500 rating in master rank. And if you run into another master rank player, your points are going to be on the line. Your LP, the whole LP system is going to stay the same. You lose 40 points for losing, you gain depending on how high their LP is. That doesn't matter. Now it'll also take into account your MR rating. So I haven't played too many matches, but at the beginning it seems like you lose and gain 8 points. But this system is a very strict, fair system that's more accurately going to show you where you're at in the ranking system in Street Fighter 6. So what I mean by that is, if you lose to somebody who's around the same MR as you, it seems like you're going to lose 8 points and they're going to gain 8 points, period. It will always be the same amount of points. So if someone is much higher MR than you, then you're going to lose like 6 points and they'll gain 6 points. It'll always be the same number, basically. One person wins and one person loses the same amount of points. It's not going to be a forgiving system. So what I mean by this is that you can quickly find out where you actually are skill-wise, because if you're somebody who starts at 1500 MR, and you don't have a 50% win rate, you're going to drop down. You're going to have 1400 or lower MR. In fact, if you look at the old leaderboard right now with the LP system, there's a lot of players with over 60,000, 70,000 points. You check their profiles, a lot of their win rates are around like 45% win rate, 44% win rate. So it's hard to tell just by LP alone what somebody's win rate is. And this is going to go in seasons. So they're calling this phases. So this is what Capcom meant when they said they're going to have these phases to rank. They didn't mean it's going to be a ranked leaderboard reset for the LP. It's going to be a reset for this system, the Master League. So each phase is going to last 3 months. So starting right now today, 3 months, they're going to reset this and they're going to start over again. There doesn't seem to be any rewards. It just seems to be just another leaderboard so far. So I think this is really interesting. I think this is going to add some extra excitement or stress, if you will, to your matches, because now I feel like because of this leaderboard, guys, it's going to make your rank completely irrelevant. I don't think people are going to care about LP at all anymore. They don't care how many Zangiefs you farmed in Master Rank and you gaining 600 points for one match. The only thing people are going to care about is your MR rating, because that's going to show truly what your skill rank actually is. And I think the first issue I have with this right away is the matchmaking. Depending on where you live, in case you guys don't know, the matchmaking in Street Fighter 6 is very strict. It's very regional, and you'll find yourselves playing the same players over and over again once you get in a higher rank, depending on the population of your area. Now, this can be a problem with this MR system, because what's going to happen is, as you play opponents who have less and less MR ranking as you, you're going to gain less points from them. So we've already played a match where I've only gained or lost 7 points because there was a 25-point difference in our MR rating, and it's going to get lower and lower and lower. We don't know if it's going to drop to 0, where you don't even get any points at all for beating someone super low MR on you, but it's possible it's going to drop down to at least a 1. And if that's the case, that's going to be really bad, because let's say you're the most dominant player in your region and you're only playing 3 or 4 different players. Eventually those players are going to be useless to play for you, because you're only gaining 1 point from them. So I feel like players that have a bigger pool of players to play, if they live in like LA, NYC, Vancouver, or Toronto, you're going to have a big advantage technically, because you have a bigger pool of players to play. Another problem is that eventually you're going to get kind of hard stuck, because in order to climb MR significantly, you're going to have to play better and better players than you, players with higher MR. And if you can't find those players, you can't climb, right? Because you're only going to be able to farm 1 or 2 points. Like, once again, it just starts. We don't know how many points up to, but it's starting at 8, and I've already seen 7. So eventually it's going to go to 6. And so on. So I think right now the matchmaking is like a high priority situation for Capcom. I know you guys, you already know I'm not a fan of the rank system in general, but I think the matchmaking is seriously a red alert issue right now. They need to fix the matchmaking and open up the net. Another thing too is that there's no rewards. So like at the end of the season so far, they don't even give you a title or an emblem or anything. And maybe Capcom did that for a good reason, because with a system that's this hardcore, where you can actually see your MR rating, it's gonna bring back that Street Fighter V stress. And what's gonna happen is, let's say you're like, I don't know, a 1700 MR player, and you run into somebody that's 1500 rating. Well, it's not even worth it to risk playing them, because if you lose, you can lose like, 10, 20 points, and they can gain 10, 20 points. And if you win, you're only going to gain like 1 or 0 points. So what's even the point of risking playing them, right? And I feel like if they had a reward at the end of the season, players are just going to start blocking each other, man. They're going to be like, I don't want to play this guy. It's too risky, so I'm just going to block him. And I think that's going to add a little bit of toxicity. Of course, not everyone's going to care about this MR, ranking leaderboards. I'm just trying to think ahead how this is going to affect the game, really, because people do care about points. But overall, I do like this system. Like, I like the idea that, mastering players aren't just farming LP off of people doing placement matches. That was pretty ridiculous. It's really hard to actually find out where you're at. But with this MR rating, I think it's just, a lot more accurate, and it'll be a lot more hardcore. It'll give you incentive to keep playing ranked, which is what Capcom wants. But another thing too is, I think the players that quit Street Fighter V before because they couldn't handle the rank system, and now with this more forgiving system, I think a lot of these players that hit master rank now, that were like silver, gold in Street Fighter V, I think these players might be afraid to even play in ranked, because they're going to be afraid to be dropped down into the 1400 rating or lower, right? So we'll see how this affects the game and how players are going to like this system. I personally think there should be some reward. At the very least, I think there should be some kind of symbol that corresponds with your MR rating, like, a logo that changes after every time you get 50 or more points. But really though, my main concern is just the matchmaking, guys. I'm really concerned that if you're someone who plays a lot and you really want to climb the MR rating, you're actually just completely relying on the matchmaking being kind to you. And that kind of sucks, because if you can't find high rated players, you simply just can't climb fast enough. But at the same time, this helps for players that just simply play a lot, right? You have to stay consistent. If you have around a 1600 MR rating, it means your win rate is probably around 60%. And the higher it is, the faster you're going to climb. But eventually you're going to reach a plateau where you can't climb anymore until you find players that are also as hardcore as you and have high points. It's kind of funny. It reminds me of Street Fighter V when it first came out, and the highest rank around that time was like platinum and diamond. And since everyone started off in rookie rank, it took so long for the first player to reach platinum rank because you can only gain so many points a day. So this is kind of giving that vibe right now. Also, another thing, guys, this doesn't seem to affect the matchmaking whatsoever, so don't worry about that. They're not like cutting the player pool in half or anything like that. If you run into a diamond rank player or lower, well, actually you can't run into a lower, or I guess the placement matches, but if you're a master rank player and you run into someone who's not a master rank player, you won't lose any MR rating at all. It won't affect anything. So the matchmaking is the same. It's also tied to your character. So every character is going to have their own MR rating in your account, so don't worry about that as well. I'm really curious what you guys think about this system, because it's going to really show how much people care about their actual rank, you know? I think a lot of people would say nobody cares about their rank in LP, but if that was really the case, then why did Capcom make such a forgiving rank system in Street Fighter 6, right? Because they want people to keep playing. They want everyone to reach master rank. The whole system designed to push you there as long as you keep playing. And the players that are keeping you in the low ranks, eventually those players will climb up and they'll eventually be master rank too, allowing you to climb up. The whole system is designed, so Capcom's trying to play this weird balancing act where they want to keep everyone happy, make everyone feel proud of making master in Street Fighter 6, but at the same time try to appease the hardcores, the players that want to see their true rank, something that want to add, you know, just some more stress, if you will, and more incentive to keep playing. So it's interesting if Capcom can balance and make both sides of the spectrum happy. I really think that LP is going to be irrelevant. Now when players talk to each other, they won't be like, I'm a master rank player, because, you know, over time that's going to lose more and more meaning. It's going to be like, I'm a 1600 rated Rashid player. Like, you know, you're gonna have that kind of talk now. I'm sure I can see the stream titles already. I know a lot of you guys are gonna say to me, Vesper, you know, this only affects 1% of the player base. It's not that big of a deal, but trust me, guys, the first month of Street Fighter 6, we had about 1,000 master rank players. Now, 2 months in, we have over 30,000, 35,000 master rank players. It's just going to simply keep growing, because that's what this system does. It's pushing everyone to master rank. So I guess in that sense, when we do have like a year from now, when we have so many master rank players, that's going to help the matchmaking a little bit, because it's going to be a larger pool to play with when you reach the highest rank. But that also means this MR rating is also going to largely affect the player base. And yes, you can already see your win rate in the game, but seeing that MR rating right on the screen when you're playing your opponent, seeing those points go up and down, I'm sure it is going to affect and tilt some players when they lose, because if you go on a losing streak, it will be quite harsh how many points you lose, especially if those players are rated much lower than you. So yeah, very interesting change to Street Fighter 6. I wonder where we go from here, but like I said, man, I think this matchmaking is a serious issue and Capcom needs to fix it as soon as possible to make it as fair as possible for everyone. So I guess I'll put a pin in this, guys, and we'll talk more about this later, but let me know what you guys think about this system for now. Is it going to add toxicity to the game, or players are going to get blocked, or master rank players are going to be too afraid to play? Or you guys like this change because it affects such a small number of people? Let me know in the comments below. If there's anything you don't understand, I'll try my best to explain more. So till next time, guys, take care. Peace.